Koppel, host of the Time for Coffee podcast, where you get firsthand career advice into the jobs and industries that interest you the most. And before we start today's show, I have a quick favor to ask you. If you haven't already, I'd be incredibly grateful if you give us a rating and a review on iTunes. And if you're like me, you need to do it now because you'll forget later and because it's the best way to help others who may be in search of career advice to find this free resource. So press pause if you haven't done it and do it right now. I'll wait. Thanks so much and enjoy today's show. Hey there, Java Junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career double shot K-Cup with my guest, Alex Valaitis. I want to just quickly touch on something where you and I are not on the same page. And I want you to kind of lay out your rationale, because we are here in September of 2020, and you devote a pretty good section of your book to choosing majors. And for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, as you mentioned, you changed your major in your junior year. It's a super stressful experience picking the right major. What is your best advice?
Definitely. So I think, and maybe this is where we differ, and it's a debate I love having with people because I think it's a very valid one, is starting from the point that your major matters. And the reason I say that is if you start to reverse engineer different career paths and like outcomes, there are jobs out there that do have hard requirements for majors. So if like you want to be a physical therapist or a doctor, if you want to go work as a nuclear engineer at a power plant, there are very specific majors you need to go there. Now, obviously, there's a whole swath of roles out there that don't need a specific major, but most people, when they go to college, they don't know what jobs they don't want yet. So by default, you have to assume that your major matters until proven otherwise, right? So if you go in with that approach, it forces you to sort of think through all the different paths and make sure you don't miss anything. Now, once you start to hone in on the specific role you want, then I think it becomes, you're right, less about the major and more about the connections, skills, and knowledge you acquire there. But I do caution people to approach college as simply just an intellectual enrichment experience. I think if you go back a few decades where colleges were receiving better funding and it wasn't such an exorbitant cost, sure, if it's only a couple grand a year, it's not a super big risk to just go try a major and then course correct after. But when you have students out there that are spending $100,000, $200,000 and essentially rolling the dice, I think that it's kind of a gamble not worth having. So I always encourage students, assume your major matters until proven otherwise. And then that way you at least can say, hey, look, whatever path it is I want to take, I haven't cut myself out from taking it, right? Because the last thing you want to do is get into your junior year or senior year and be like, oh, I actually want this career path. And okay, I can't even go into it now unless I restart.
Yeah, I think what you've laid out there makes a whole lot of sense. And I actually don't disagree with much of what you've said. My only concern is that there are young people who are trying to reverse engineer their career. Totally. And truth be told, your careers are going to be multiple. Yeah. And if you are studying something as you initially did, that you didn't really feel lit you up. And I caution to use the word passion because we don't always feel passionate in college about what we're studying. We feel maybe interested in it, some people feel passionate. And so I would say if something doesn't capture you, isn't like an obvious in terms of this is kind of something I could see myself doing, that I'd be interested in doing after you've done your homework, which I think is great, saying, are there certain foundational skills that I need to have, foundational courses, maybe even a major if I want to pursue that path. But otherwise, I say follow what you're interested in. Study what you're interested in because your interests are going to evolve over the course of your professional life. And chances are you may end up, as I am, in a field that is every single field I've had. I'm in my 4th career now, has been different from the one prior. And I studied poli-sci and had a concentration in Asian studies and Chinese. And I never went into government and I never worked in a think tank. And I never went into academia. I mean, I'm kind of in academia now, but more as a platform to educate people. So that's my only kind of gentle pushback.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode.
Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of T4C. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching services for confused college students and recent grads, feel free to check out the Time for Coffee website under the coaching tab at time4coffee.org or text me at 202-236-5712. That's 202-236-5712.